All right, everybody, this is an emergency broadcast of the abolitionist movement Rhetoric Police. There is no official rhetorician of the abolitionist movement, but as someone who cares deeply about both good rhetoric and abolitionism, I wanted to at least voice in a very quick video my concerns with the recent trend in naming URLs for local abolitionist societies. Before I do that, I want to affirm one thing. Local abolitionist societies should definitely have their own web pages and make their own web pages once they are up and running and doing things locally, because drop cards and various things, you're going to want to have some way of communicating with people in your local situation. So a place to collect all of your local meetings, stuff, minutes, announcements, times, places, engagements, videos, pictures, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want to have it at your local abolitionist society, and that is a very, very good idea because we want people to know there are abolitionist societies everywhere in America. So it's good to have an abolitionist society of Omaha, abolitionist society of Tahlequah, abolitionist society of San Diego, Seattle, Norman, wherever. It's good to have these, and then whenever you get on Google and you type abolitionist society, you just get pages and pages of different cities. Now, affirming that, I have some problems or some concerns with the trend in naming these URLs. And I'm just going to state them because I've been kind of like passively stating them. People think that I'm picking on somebody in particular or whatever, but I'm not. What I'm actually doing is trying to dissuade or persuade people to go with a different acronym. Maybe the reason that we went away from the AHA acronym was because some people were under the impression that AHA was an organization and that we needed to distance ourselves from it. But AHA is not an organization. It's people who've gotten organized to perpetuate abolitionism, but there is no AHA organization which you need to distance yourself from. When you put a symbol on that is literally an AH and an A, and then you try to distance yourself from the acronym, it's a little bit weird, and it may be giving to the critics something that they want, that is for AHA to be an organization instead of a battle cry or a strategy plan or group of people. So using the acronym AHA should and ought to be encouraged. We shouldn't have people running around going, I'm not with AHA. The good thing is everybody who does something good and they're with AHA, they're AHA. Everybody who does something bad and they're with AHA, they're with AHA. And so it's a very messy situation. But at least we're all unified in one sort of group and we let the world know. Now, calling your website ASO Colorado or ASO Norman is problematic for a couple of reasons. You've made of part of the acronym, which is not something that people do, and it's not something that people should do. You usually would only use like the A and the S and then the city for abolitionist society of a given Norman. But then whenever your signs are out there, it just says as Norman, which doesn't convey anything. If anything, it probably means as Norman and people don't know what that is or whatever. And you're not actually, for anyone who doesn't type in the website, giving them any kind of information, any reason to look at the URL. Now, if you have the O in there, you also are inviting this sort of charge that I think that our critics would be, using. They'd be calling us the ASOs. And so are you the ASOs in Colorado? Are you the ASOs in Omaha and so on and so forth? And that's just not something that we want to encourage. The other thing is, and the more, well, here's another thing that's related to that. If you decide to go with the URL that's AS Norman, that might make sense. You're like, well, over time people will see the word as not a word, but they'll see it as abolitionist society, which is not going to happen over time. I'm just telling you, it's not going to. So as Norman or as California or whatever is not going to work. But here's the major problem. If we want uniformity or some kind of recognizable form for our URLs, it's very problematic for, say, Seattle or, say, San Diego, because that then becomes assandiego.com or asiattle.com and stuff like that. So that's going to be problematic for some abolitionist societies, but mainly I think that it's just also weak rhetorically. It's going to look bad on signs, drop cards, so on and so forth, for it to be asoword.com or asword.com. I would suggest, even though some people think it's cumbersome, absoc Norman, because when you make that on a sign, you can capitalize the A, B, capitalize S, O, C. People are going to usually see SOC as society anyway, and they're going to say ab society Norman, which could be problematic. But absoc Norman, after the culture knows that there are abolitionist societies, it's going to be very normal. Absoc Norman, absoc Omaha, whatever. That's one. I talked to some other people, Scott Herndon, Aaron Hoffman. They prefer actually to go AHA Norman. So it's like abolish human abortion, Norman. Abolish human abortion, North Idaho. Abolish human abortion, Colorado Springs. Or you could do Colorado Springs, abolish human abortion. Because you've got information now in there. And people are going to be talking about AHA. In Norman, we've had an abolitionist society for a long time. But people still come up to you and they go, hey, are you with AHA? Or, hey, you're with AHA. Thanks for doing what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. Because it's recognizable. Yes, there was a wicked 80s band named Aha. And Aha is also like aha and all that kind of stuff. And it's problematic. But we've already got so much track record in the culture with AHA. And it is very clear, abolish human abortion. Because anytime you're saying sort of AHANorman.com or AHANorthIdaho.com, you'll probably also have other posters and signs that say abolish human abortion. Because that is what we're trying to do. And it'll be very clear. I don't think that AS City or ASO City are ever going to be very clear. And even if they become pretty well known and understood, I don't think that's ever going to be rhetorically excellent. So we should try to do that because we are facing an uphill battle and we ought to think about these things. So I'm putting this video out here just because I care and I really would like to stop it because I think people are buying all these URLs and supporting GoDaddy, who supports, the devil knows what. And also, your $12 is being wasted because by peer pressure and rhetoric police, I'm going to be going after those things whenever you ask me to make a poster or a drop card. I'm going to be like, ASCO, nah. So, all right. You don't have to agree with it. You can think I'm a madman. But that's the emergency broadcast of the abolitionist movement rhetoric police.